Another day, another dollar. Thank the Lord for another 24. God, I'll do that. But I'm just getting back to the crib. Workout number 2 of the day. It's my second workout. Evening grind. Got some back money in today, man. A little bit of cardio. Just finished eating my meals. Got my meals ready for the night for my shift at work. So I'm good to go. Quick correctional officer video. Man, I still been getting a lot of great feedback, a lot of great questions, a lot of great input from people that already work in corrections. You know, if you still on the fence, you know, you thinking about applying for the job, or you going through the hiring process, you new on the scene, you just started, you going to the academy. I'm gonna give y'all some essential things, you know, that will help you in your career, you know, as far as being a correctional officer. You know, the first thing, you know, I feel like one of the most important things as far as being a correctional officer is having great communication skills. That's the name of the game. This right here is your biggest weapon working inside of a prison. You know, it's not a gun, it's not a baton stick, it's not a taser, pepper spray, none of that. Your mouthpiece, your mouth, your words, what you say, how you communicate with the inmates, you know, when you're working inside behind the wall, you know. Can you get them to do what you need them to do, follow your directions, your orders, and stuff like that without using any force, without having to put any hands, no type of physical altercation, anything like that? That's the name of the game, you know. If you can get them to do what you need them to do, you know, whatever it is, whatever order or directive you give them, you know, without having to use any type of, you know, escalation, force, you know, diversion tactics, anything like that, you're winning. You're ahead of the game, you know. Your mouthpiece is the number one, you know, tool that you have at your disposal working as a correctional officer. You know, how can you de-escalate situations, you know, when things go from 0 to 100? You know, you chilling on the unit working with the inmates, and then all of a sudden something happens, you know, you got an inmate out of control. I don't know, he may have got denied on his visit. His parole, man, got rejected. Now he flipping out. He on the unit flipping tables, stuff like that, man. He ready to work, man. He ready. The first person he see, man, that look at him crazy or say something funny to him, man, he ready to put the hands up or grab that knife out of his pants or no. Can you talk him down? That's an important tool as well as working in corrections, those de-escalation skills. You know, there's been plenty situations in my career, you know, where I've been able to talk inmates down. You know, they out of control, man. Violence is imminent, man. They a threat to themselves or to the other inmates or to my co-workers. And, you know, I've been able to talk them down. You know, I'm like, man, you know, all this time I've been working with you, you know, working this unit, have I ever gave you any problems, man, disrespected you, anything like that? You know what I'm saying? Trashed your cell, tore your cell up, called you out of the name, anything like that, you know? So why don't you just go ahead and talk to me about this, man? You know, I do everything I can in my power to try to reason with the inmates, you know, an out of control inmate that's up here, that's taking it there. I'll do everything in my power to try to talk them back down to where they're reasonable and they're complying with my orders before I have to escalate to that level, you know, and it turns physical. I have to, you know, put hands on them, take them to the ground, put them up against the wall, put them in handcuffs, stuff like that. If you can avoid all that, that's a good day right there. It's not about being tough. It's not about being macho man, Randy Savage, Chuck Norris up in there. It's none of that, man. You got to think. Once you put hands on an inmate, you know, anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? You put hands on the inmate, y'all get the grappling, fighting, tussling, man. You know, you could slip and fall and hurt your knees, something like that. Now you got to work. Then you got to think too. Now you get on your walkie-talkie, call for assistance, whatnot. And your staff members, your co-workers are running, they're running to the scene. Somebody can fall, slip, tear an ACL. I seen that happen before. We were responding to an emergency at the prison I work at. I think it was an inmate fight. And one of my co-workers, man, we running up the hallway, he slipped on some water, tore his ACL. He was out for 4 months, you know, missed work. You know, that was an unfortunate situation. Sometimes stuff happens where you can't necessarily reason with the inmates because it goes from 0 to 100 real quick. For instance, an inmate fight. 2 gangs got beef with each other and an all-out riot or fight breaks out on the rec yard. So they get to stabbing. That's an immediate response right there. It requires immediate use of force. You know, sometimes you can't prevent that. It just is what it is in corrections. It's a part of working in correction. It's the nature of the beast. But I'm talking about situations where you got time to calculate and, to think about what you're going to do, what you're going to say. Those situations when you could use your mouthpiece and your words and verbal communication skills, de-escalation skills to try to get the situation back under control. That's a great day. The next thing, you got to have emotional resilience. When I say that, you have to be emotionally tough. You're going to see a lot of crazy stuff if you work in this profession long enough. I've been working as a correctional officer for 13 years now. I've seen some of the craziest stuff, most bizarre stuff. When I was a rookie, I found an inmate that hung himself. I had only been working in corrections for a few months. I was 21 at the time. I'm still in college. I'm still down there a kid. I was like almost contemplating quitting. I was like, I don't know if this is the right career for me. He had took a string. I tell this story all the time. He had took a string, tied it around his neck, tied it to his cell door and sat down and hung himself and left me to find him. Man, I was doing my rounds, had my flashlight, look in the cell. I didn't see him at first. I'm like, he's not on his bed. So I'm like, where the heck's he at? I looked down, he just sat down, had the CO that's working up in the tower. They got all the buttons, the master control that controls all the doors. They hit his cell door button. His cell rolled open, man. His door, he flopped out dead. I seen right in the beginning of my career something crazy, I had to save an inmate's life. He had 2 heart attacks in the shower. I had to, call for medical assistance on my walkie-talkie, put gloves on, start giving him chest compressions. I was able to save his life. He was dead in the shower. I rolled him over. The water was still running. He didn't have any clothes on. I rolled him over on his back. His eyes were wide open. He was cold to the touch. I had to spring into action. I've seen fights, bad fights. I've seen inmates get stabbed up real bad. I've seen mental health inmates do bizarre things, man, rubbing feces all over themselves, banging their head against the wall, mutilating themselves, cutting themselves, sticking stuff up, keistering stuff, putting razors and stuff in there, where you use the bathroom at, stuff like that. Crazy, bizarre stuff, So that's why I say you have to have a lot of emotional resilience. You have to be able to move forward when you see crazy stuff. Because if you don't have, that thick skin, that emotional resilience, man, you're not going to last long, And not only that, the inmates, you're going to get unruly inmates sometimes, disrespectful inmates are going to call you stuff out of your name. I've been called all kind of stuff in my years working as a correctional officer. I've been called the N-word. I've been called all kind of stuff, cussed out, all kind of crazy stuff. Said they were going to do something to me, man, put hands on me, all that, man. You got to be able to move past all that, be the bigger person, You can say something, man, but you got to learn how to control it, control your emotions. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't go in there trying to be RoboCop, Randy badass, trying to body slam every inmate that get in your face, because sometimes you got to think now. At the end of the day, as long as you get to go home in one piece, back to your family, back into the free world, you're good, because they have to stay there at the end of the day, So it's all good. They can say what they want. I get to go home at the end of the day. And it's been a lot of times where I may have some words with an inmate, a day or two later, they come back and they apologize, and I'll be like, I understand, man. We in a stressful environment. Stuff happens, things of that nature, and I'm an adult and I understand where we working at. So I'm able to move past that. And, we develop an understanding. It is what it is in correction. You're going to run into all type of stuff like that, The next thing, you got to have great problem-solving abilities. You have to be able to think quick on your feet, solving daily inmate problems and issues that's going to arise. Almost every day, there's some kind of issue on the unit, man. Working in these housing units with the inmates, it's always something. They come to the office and it may be something as minor as, they need you to call, they want you to call medical, or they missed an appointment. They're trying to see if they can go on the next move. They want you to see, do they need to be on do they need to go to the kitchen for a count? If they on the count for the stand-up count, stuff like that. It may be more serious stuff like an inmate's having issues with a cellmate. Can he move cells, or he doesn't feel safe on the unit? Can he check in? Can get him off the unit? There's always something going on. So you have to be able to adapt and think quick on the fly, be able to solve problems. That's a great component a great attribute that you need to have as a correctional officer. You have to, it's always problems, always issues. You got to think, you got to probably, I don't know, the unit I work, it's like 113. Well, last time I worked, it was 115 inmates and just me. You got 115 people that don't want to be there, in there for all kind of charges, got all kind of different backgrounds. It's always something going on, man, whether it's inmates getting high, you got inmates don't like each other, you got gangs in there, gang activity, you got people that may have certain charges like child molesters, stuff like that. Other inmates don't know about it, but they're not really supposed to be there. If they find out, they're liable to assault them, stab them, stuff like that. It's always something. So that's why I say you got to have great problem solving skills. You got to be able to think on your feet, and you got to be able to solve those issues when they arise, because it falls on you. If you work in that unit, you the officer, you in charge of that unit. You're like the supervisor. You over all those inmates. So it's up to you. If you need help and a situation arises, you call for backup. You call for, the yard officer or the compound officer to step over if you need assistance. But a lot of times it's just going to be you. So you got to, like I said, you got to work on your problem solving skills. In the beginning, you may get spun around. The inmates may try to manipulate you, got you calling places and stuff when they know they're supposed to go fill out a cop out or a request form, stuff like that. But as you get time on the job, you learn the games that they play, and then you learn how to think on the fly. You learn how to spin them back, stuff like that. The next thing that's an essential skill as far as being a correctional officer, you got to have good physical fitness. That this is the thing, working in corrections. These inmates work out damn near every day. I'm big into fitness. I'm a former college athlete. I've been lifting weights, played football all the way since I was a kid, all through college. I still been working out. I've been working out 22 years now, but overall in corrections, a lot of people are not in the best shape that they could be in. When I'm talking about, my coworkers and staff, it just is what it is. I'm just being honest. I'm being realistic. And like I said, the inmates, they work out every day. There's some big jokers in there. I look at some of these dudes that's locked up in prison, and they be like towering up here, look like an all-pro NFL defensive lineman. I'm like, yo, you should be playing on somebody's sports team or football or basketball team, not locked up in prison. I'm talking about Jack. And certain prisons, they still got weights. So some of them dudes in there throwing up crazy weight, benching 400, 500 pounds, man, so you need to be working out too. You got to think now, when stuff goes south and stuff happens, these are some of the people you may have to go up against. You may get into a tussle with. You may have to defend yourself against if they, the one thing leads to another. They decide to attack you, assault you, pull out a knife on you, jump on you, stuff like that. So that's why I say you got to do what you can do, whether it be working out, jogging, riding your bike, jiu-jitsu, karate, whatever, man, because at the end of the day, it's all about going home in one piece, and you being in good physical shape could be the difference between, you being able to get an inmate that may try to assault you or stab you off of you and get into your walkie-talkie to call for assistance, and that's the difference between you not being able to get off of you because you're not in shape, and also on top of that, you got to be in shape too, because you got to think, you go to the academy. At most academies, there's a lot of running, there's a lot of agility tests, stuff like that, a lot of, cardio, fitness related stuff. So if you ain't been working out like you need to start getting ready for it, especially if you already got your date that you're supposed to report to the academy. A lot of times they give you, it's like a few months out from when when you're going to be going to the academy. So you ain't been running like you need to. Ask around, ask your coworkers, what does the academy consist of, so you kind of get an idea. Do I have to run a lap? Do I have to jog a mile within a certain time? So you can start preparing yourself for that. Don't try to go down there the day of and then start trying to work out. I've seen that, and it doesn't work, man. And as far as where I work at in the feds, the Bureau of Prisons, if you go down to the academy, you don't pass any portion, whether it be the physical part, the written, the shooting, you come back to the institution and you lose your job. It just is what it is. That's one of the requirements and conditions of keeping your job. You have to pass every portion of the academy. So that's why I say physical fitness is a big thing. You may have to run the length of 2 football fields. You got to think these prisons are big. You know, the yard, outside area where the inmates work out, you know, play handball, baseball, soccer. It's big. You know, you may be in the front, all the way in the front of the prison, and the rec yard could be in the back. And it could be a big race war or race riot that breaks out on the rec yard. You got 50 inmates fighting. You may have to run a long distance and get back there to help out with your fellow co-workers. And, you know, by the time you get there, you can't just get there and run at full speed and you like, I'm out of breath. You still have to be able to perform. You still have to be able to start breaking up fights, getting inmates on the ground. You got co-worker being assaulted. You got to be able to get that inmate off of them. You know, that's why I say physical fitness, you know, is an essential working in corrections. The last thing I'm going to leave y'all with, man, is strong mental toughness. You know, you got to be mentally tough. I kind of touched on this a little bit, you know, because we're in a negative environment. You got a lot of people in there that don't want to be there. You got mental health inmates that's outside of their mind. You know, like I said, I've been called all kind of stuff in my career. You know, I remember an old mental health inmate when I worked at the county jail. He was probably like 80 years old. I think he had dementia. Man, he was in a lockdown mental health unit. Man, he was trying to push every button he could to get me to have some kind of reaction. He was calling me all kind of N-words. He said, man, you look like you pick watermelons. You look like you belong in slavery, stuff like that, man, just trying to push every button. But I was able to restrain myself because I'm mentally tough. You know, I got that emotional resilience, you know, and I understood the dynamic of it. He's 80-something years old. He has dementia. He probably doesn't even know he's in prison or jail, you know. And at the end of the day, he's behind a locked door. He's not a threat to himself. He's not a threat to me. So why even go over there and bother him? You know, I just do my rounds, you know, let him talk, and I go sit back down. Because like I said, at the end of the day, you're going home. They're still going to be there. So you got to think like that, you know. But yeah, you got to be mentally tough. You're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. You're going to deal with some hardened felons, man, people that's in there for life, you know, real criminals, gang activity. It's just a negative place sometimes, you know, but a lot of times, you know, it's a routine day. A lot of the times working in correction, you know, most days you go in there, it's the same thing every day. You know, you sit in there, you do the certain things at certain times, you know, you may count at certain times, you do your rounds every so often on the unit, you do your cell searches, this and that. You let the inmates go to chow at certain times, you let the door, unlock the door so they go on the moves like on an hour. If you work in the jail, you bring the food cart down and pass out the trays to the inmates. It's like almost the same thing every day. You just got that 1 to 5% where you don't know what's going to happen. A staff member get assaulted, inmate fight, inmate get stabbed, inmate try to commit suicide, try to hang himself, try to cut they wrist, you know, natural disaster, a riot. The fence go down, man. Now you got to lock all the inmates up because the fence is down, the perimeter fence. You know, you just don't know what's going to happen, you know. So you just got to be mentally tough, man. And those are some of the things, like I mentioned, man, that'll help you out in your career. Y'all like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. I got the merchandise for sale. I mentioned that I do a lot of fitness. I've been working out 22 years. So a lot of my posts, too, outside of corrections are about gym and, you know, fitness and working out. This one of my shirts right here, the sticky note. At the gym, don't call or text unless it's an emergency. Love you. This little catchy stuff to catch people's attention. You know, I be in the gym, I be out and about. People be asking, like, where'd you get that shirt at, man? I like that shirt. I tell them, you know, I got it on my website for sale. I got all sizes, all colors available. I accept all forms of payment. I ship nationwide, internationally, man. Tap in with me on my website. Y'all got any comments? Questions, concerns, drop a comment. I'll be sure to get back with you as soon as I can. Y'all know how we coming. Let's get motivated.